Hello and welcome to my channel. Say hi to a happy day. In this channel, I would like to share tales and stories I personally picked and or my kids' favorite stories. Let's enjoy listening while I read to you the story of the three wishes. Once upon a time, there was a poor woodcutter and his wife who lived next to a great forest. Every day, the woodcutter went into the forest to cut timber. One day, the woodcutter was working in a clearing. He had marked out a huge old oak tree which looked like it would make many planks of wood. He went up to the tree with his axe in his hand. He swung the axe back as though he were about to fell the tree with one mighty stroke. But the woodcutter hadn't even made one cut when he heard a small, pitiful voice calling to him. There before him hovered a tiny fairy who prayed and begged him to spare the oak tree as it was her home. The woodcutter was so astonished that he could not utter a word. But at last he overcame his wonder and found his tongue. "Well," he said, "if it's your home, then I can't cut it down. I'll do as you ask." "You've done more for yourself than you know," replied the fairy. "To show I'm not ungrateful, I'll grant you your next 3 wishes." Then the fairy vanished, leaving the woodcutter wondering if he had been dreaming. He slung the axe over his shoulder and started for home. When he got there, he sat by the fire and called to his wife. He told her what had happened, and she began to formulate all sorts of grand plans. However, realizing they should act prudently, she said, "Let's not spoil anything by being impatient. We must think things over carefully. Let's put our first wish off until tomorrow and sleep on it." "You are right," said the woodcutter. He sat back in his chair by the fire and warmed himself. "What a fine blaze," the woodcutter said. "Indeed," replied his wife. "I wish we had some sausages. It would be nice to enjoy them by the fire." Scarcely had the woodcutter's wife finished speaking when she and her husband saw a link of sausages appear down the chimney. The woodcutter cried out in alarm, but then realized that this was the result of a foolish wish that his wife had made. He began to scold her. "You fool!" he cried. "To think you might have wished for a kingdom with gold, pearls, rubies, diamonds, fine clothes, whatever you desire, and all you wish for are sausages?" "Alas," replied the woodcutter's wife, "I've made a very bad choice. I'll do better next time." "Yes, you will," exclaimed the woodcutter. "You couldn't have done any worse. Only a fool would have wished for sausages. A curse on all sausages. I wish a sausage was hanging from your nose." In a flash, the wish was answered, and the sausage fastened itself on the end of her nose. The woodcutter's wife screamed and tried to pull it off, but it was stuck. Then the woodcutter tried to pull it off, but it was stuck fast. Then they both tried, but the sausage showed no sign of moving, and they were in danger of pulling her nose off. The woodcutter's wife cried and sobbed. "You make a wish," she told her husband. "No, you make a wish," replied the woodcutter, who also started to cry at the state of his poor wife's nose. They had one wish left. What were they to wish for? They might wish for something very grand, but what use was all the finery in the world if the mistress of the house had a sausage stuck to the end of her nose? Then the woodcutter decided he would make the best use he could of the last wish and said, "I wish my wife was rid of the sausage from her nose." And the next moment, the sausage fell off her nose and into a dish on the table. They were so relieved that they danced around the room for joy and then ate the sausage, which was the finest sausage anyone could wish for. The woodcutter and his wife didn't mind that they weren't going to ride around in a golden coach or dress in fine silk. They realized that it is much better to enjoy eating a sausage than to have one attached to your nose for the rest of your life. The end. I hope you enjoy listening to the story of the 3 wishes. Please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to listen to more of our favorite stories. The end.